All right, everybody, welcome back to the Missing Men. It's been a little while since I've been on here. Had a holiday weekend that kind of occupied some time. Had some time out of town that occupied some time. But I'm back, and I've got today's subject. Today, we're talking about snow. Welcome to the show, Snowflake. Let me go ahead and give a disclaimer. If somebody new watches this, which I hope they do, but maybe even some that have watched it before, I'm probably going to offend somebody in this one. I don't mean to, and I'm asking you to watch it all the way through so you'll understand the context of what I'm talking about. But I'm willing to bet you I'm going to pinch a little bit of a nerve with somebody. But this whole series is meant to pinch some nerves a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and start this off with kind of explaining snowflake. Because I promise you, I'm not talking about frozen precipitation. I'm talking about that cowboy that just is too easily hurt. Now, I first want to say, I believe feelings are important. I don't want people to think that as men, we shouldn't have feelings. We shouldn't show our feelings. That's a misconception. It's okay to show your feelings. It's okay to cry a little bit. And guys, it's important that you listen to the feelings of your wife, of your mother, of your siblings, those around you. It's important to take into account what people are thinking, what they feel. But now what I'm talking about tonight is something totally different. It's those individuals that at the drop of a hat just get to that, how dare ye? Now what I've discovered, turn on the news, turn on TV, I promise you, you're going to find snowflakes falling like the true frozen precipitation. They're left and right, they're coming down. What I've discovered, most of the snowflakes are the first ones to hurt a lot of people's feelings. But they are also the first ones to have their feelings hurt. And it's a strange twist. It blows my mind. But what I've discovered, what can hurt somebody's feelings on the West Coast may not hurt somebody's feelings on the East Coast. What can hurt the feelings of a fella may not hurt the feelings of a lady, and vice versa. Whatever the demographic is, whatever the geographic location is, can influence what hurts somebody's feelings and what their perception is. What makes somebody in the state of California go, oh my goodness? Makes somebody over in Alabama go, so? I mean, it's real. It happens. Example number 1, Prop 65 warning. If you've never heard of it, go look it up. If you don't want to look it up, listen to me for a second. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's a label that's going to go on a lot of things. And what it is saying is that whatever the product that the label's put on has chemicals that may or may not cause cancer or birth defects. And they put that label on there. Now, I think it's important. I mean, if you're telling me, if I grab this here glass and it may cause me to be sick, I would want you to tell me about it. I would want me to have the sense to know, guess what, don't touch the glass. It could make me sick. But yeah, I saw a Prop 65 warning on a furniture frame. Pieces of wood. Wood. Right there. I'm touching it right now. Haven't got sick. I'm not running to the bathroom. It's not worrying me one bit. Now, I get it. There was probably something that was treated with, and they're just covering their bases. A Prop 65 warning has to cover a large umbrella. And they would rather be safe than sorry. I get it. I really do. But at the same time, y'all, it's a piece of wood. Multiple pieces of wood. But it's pieces of wood. I'm not fixing to get sick out of touching a piece of wood. I know I'm not. Oh, my goodness. For 3 months, I'm usually up in a tree trying to pursue little critters because I love deer hunting. If you're telling me a tree may cause me to get sick, I'm screwed for 3 months out of the year. I'm 20 feet up in the air holding on to deer alive, leaned up against a tree. I hope it doesn't give me sick. It hadn't done it yet. I've been doing this for years. But that's example number 1. Next one, What about ladders from when I was a little kid? Yeah, ladders today are not what we had in yesteryear. Man, them little old fold-out ladders that stretch over here, you can bend this. There's some high-class ladders out there that this cat right here never had when he was growing up. We would lean ladders up on stuff. They weren't extension ladders. We couldn't make them longer. They were wood. There were times we're cutting limbs. I'm going to be honest with you. If people watch what we did, having to cut limbs off of trees and almost near vertical ladders. I mean, you got some anchor down there on the bottom that you're trusting that he's going to hold that ladder in place, and you're hoping that that limb doesn't kick back on you. But it's all you got to work with. It's not like you got some cherry picker out there. You got a ladder and a chainsaw. Get up there. Let's get it done. But there's somebody that would have watched it and went, oh my goodness, how's this going to happen? They would have just been scared to death about what we're doing. But it was common, everyday experience for me. I'm not saying we were doing things that we just shouldn't have been. We were just working with what we had, and sometimes that meant you had to live on the edge a little bit. I promise you, we lived the 80s. Yeah, that living on a prayer, that was a big part of our life. I promise you it was. But how about this one? How about cars back when I was a little kid? Now, let's just go back to the 80s. I've got a family that I was friends with, their son. I remember when they got a Buick Park Avenue. Oh, man. This thing was like cream of the crop for me. Had electric windows, electric locks. I was uncontrollable in this thing. I don't know how I didn't get in trouble, because anytime I rode with them, I wanted to just play with the windows up and down, up and down. I wanted to lock it and unlock it. I thought it was fascinating that I could just flip a switch and not roll this thing to get the window up or press the button to get it to go down. Man, I could just press a button. Boop, boop, boop. That was awesome stuff. But you want me to tell you what that Buick didn't have? It didn't have an airbag in it. It didn't have a blind spot monitor. And hold on. Wait for it. There was not yet one auxiliary port, cable, or setting in the radio. You could not link up your iPod, your iPhone, your MP3 player. Yeah, I know I'm going back a little bit. You couldn't plug up your Sony Walkman into that thing. You had a radio and a tape deck. That was it. The car was a savage compared to what we got today. My truck out here got a blind spot monitor. I got a nice little fancy orange light that lights up in my mirror, lets me know there's somebody back there. I ain't got to look and see. Doesn't mean I'm going to trust that computer every time. I still want to see them, but it's on there. It's got a little fancy mirror, fancy camera on the back of it, so that way I can see what I'm about to back into. Or if my dog is tempting fate a little bit, I know that he's there. Now, y'all, safety features are important. These airbags I mentioned, they're important. I'm not knocking them one bit. I think it's great that technology has got us there. But oh my goodness, think about what we survived as kids. And for those of y'all listening to me that are past my ripe age of 40, whatever the heck, past 21, I'm not keeping up with it that much, but I'm in my 40s, 42, 43, something like that. Those of y'all listening that's maybe a little older than me, y'all probably think of something else about cars or something that you remember that pales in comparison from a safety perspective of what we've got today. Now I want to discuss assembling a product. Now the one I had in my mind that I thought about immediately when I thought about this was when I put together my son's basketball goal. Man, if y'all put together one of them basketball goals, and I'm not talking about the one you're just going to pull the backboard out and put the rim on it and slap it up on the house. No, I'm talking about that little, it's adjustable. It's got the little basin that you put the water in. Oh, good night. You needed a daggum PhD in physics to get that thing going. You needed to have the utmost mobility to hold this way, put this bolt in here, keep it from falling on you. And meanwhile, I'm doing it in the dark. Now, mind you, with back porch light on. But man, the nuts, the bolts, the backboard, the net, the rim, the basin, the rod, it's all going. I also needed a degree in kinesiology, so that way I was at least in shape to do this thing. And might I add, I think that was also the same year I had to put a trampoline together, so these nerves were shot by the end of that night. But the nuts and bolts and screws that's in that package, you want me to tell you what the instructions tell you? Don't swallow. It's a choking hazard. Well, no duh, Sherlock. Have you ever tried to swallow a bolt? More important, have you ever tried to pass a bolt? It's not something I want to do. How about the bags that's holding some of this stuff? You unwrap some little old wheel or something like that. Well, them instructions, if you read into it, I love reading the fine print. My wife can't stand it. You let me go sign something at the bank, I'm looking at every little thing. I actually read the terms and conditions of the Apple agreement for the most part. Just because I want to know what they're doing in there. But let's take that back. It's a suffocation hazard. If you put this thing over your head, you could die. Yep. I knew that. That gallon Ziploc bag over here in a drawer beside me, I'm sure if I fit that thing over my head, not only would I look ridiculous, but I might not be breathing too well if I put it over my head. Just letting you know. What about an air mattress? I saw one time it made it was specific that it said not to be used as a flotation device. I want to know, have you ever turned on the Bassmaster Classic and watched a guy throw a twin mattress out of his ski boat just so he can be safe? Heck no, he got that fancy little two-prong or two-strap deal that if he goes over, there, he's floating. He don't need that twin mattress. Heck no, that mattress ain't a flotation device. But I'm willing to bet you there's somebody listening to this that has probably put a buddy on an air mattress and pushed him out in the middle of the lake just as a funny. Probably has. I'm not going to say it hadn't happened. But I know that thing ain't a flotation device. Absolutely no, it's not. And this dude right here, I have never eaten a Tide Pod. I've never wanted to eat a Tide Pod. I don't know why somebody would have wanted to eat a Tide Pod. It's detergent, folks. Why you want to eat a Tide Pod? I don't care if it's a challenge. I mean, challenge me to a pie eating contest or challenge me to a crawfish boil competition on who can eat the longest. But if we're doing a Tide Pod challenge, I still ain't figured that one out. And some of the drugs that's out there today, I don't know how they come up with this stuff. But I'm getting on a tangent here. The point I'm getting at, look at some of the things that people are trying to keep us safe from. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Don't turn the air mattress into a daggum flotation device, and don't swallow the bowl. Why should we have to tell people that? Man, why should we have to tell people that? Why should we have to watch our kids and make sure they don't swallow a bolt? See, somewhere or another, we messed up if our kid looks over and swallows a bolt. I rank that right up there with going fishing and thinking the hook is not sharp. I promise you, it's sharp. It's going to get you. I'm going to give you another story about a questionable safety. Now, my uncle, he's passed away years ago. Now, he was as close to a pioneer as what you can get these days. I mean, Little House on the Prairie pioneer. John Wayne pioneer kind of thing. He loved logging with mules. He loved messing with them. That was his thing. And what he could do with those mules was fascinating. Well, he called me up when I was still at college. I had married my wife, wanted to know, bud, can you meet me for a mule pull? Sure. I went down there. I was just going to watch Uncle Brown doing a mule pull. For those of you who do not know what a mule pull is, sorry, I'm not getting into it. I'll let you look it up, though. My wife had never watched a mule pull. We get down there. Well, his partner that was supposed to be with him didn't get to come. So he asked me, could I help? Sure. My wife watched my uncle pull his 2 mules out, and we're not talking about little old ponies. These were some sure enough beasts that come walking out of that trailer. Now, I would have been somewhere around 23 years old, 22 years old, something like that. And when I stepped up to Ham and Star, they pretty much, I'm looking at the top of their backbone, and I was 6'3". Well, now on a mule pull, they know to do one thing. When that DoubleTree clicks against the hook that it's going into, that 2 sounds of 2 pieces of metal coming together makes them 2 beasts go. And whatever they got behind them, they're fixing to pull it. Now, when we start that pull, you're using small weight. I don't know what we started off with. I figure for those mules, they were probably pulling somewhere around, 1,000-pound sled, something like that. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. My wife asked me, she said, what do you got to do? I said, I've got to get between that slide and those mules. And when I set that DoubleTree down, they go on the click. Was that safe? Not really. Because if I stumble, it doesn't matter where I'm at in relation to that sled. If I'm not out of there, they're pulling me right under that sled. So once I drop it, get out of the way. Now, to go through it all, we won the mule pull that day. Me and Uncle BB. But the thing was, I wasn't worried about it. It's not something that I did a lot. But I'd been around them before. I knew how to hook a DoubleTree up. I mean, I knew what to do. I knew how to do it. And I knew how to be safe. But it did not scare me. Not one bit. But I promise you, I could have brought somebody off of campus, put them in that situation, they'd been shaking in their boots. Couldn't have done it. We'd had broke legs, broke arm, bruised ego, and probably needed a psychiatrist to get them through the next 5 years, if I had to guess. But for me, particularly, no, I didn't think anything about it. So now I bring this around to, let's kind of get out of the humor and get to the point. Have we protected the next generation so much they don't want to be around danger? They don't want to be anywhere unsafe. They just need to hit that cruise button at 60 miles an hour and just ride. Don't put a bump over here. Don't put a hill right here. Don't put an obstacle right there. Just let me ride. Y'all, I'm afraid we have. I think we've protected some of our kids from so much illness that their immune systems can't tolerate much at all. I'm telling you, when I see some of these old dirty kids, it's just covered in whatever they've been doing. I'm sitting going, probably got a strong immune system in that kid. I was like, now, again, I'm not against doing what's right. I'm not against safe practices. I'm not. I probably have plenty of times that there's things that I don't want my kids to do this, don't want to do this. Hey, don't take this chance. But at the same time, I want to put them in situations that maybe is not the safest. And in best control I can, so that way when they're 30 years old, they're not living in fear. They're not trying to run on cruise control. You know, I think back to my dad. You didn't understand fear until I did something wrong that disappointed him, and he had to come after me. Now, there's people out there that would tell me, oh my goodness, so you were scared of your father? They ain't scared me, I was scared of my father. But now let me say this. I had a healthy fear of my father. Now that healthy fear turned into respect as wisdom started to replace my youthful ignorance. Now as a kid, oh my goodness, I knew I'm in trouble. He's fixing to get me. And oh man, this is going to be bad. Not only am I'm going to receive some kind of discipline from him from a corporal punishment standpoint, I'm also going to get grounded. And then my mother's going to talk to me afterwards. I mean, I'm getting like a triple whammy after this deal. But the thing was, that healthy fear of my dad, and I'm very aware that I'm calling it a healthy fear, was important. Because I knew when I'd let my father down. I knew when I'd went too far. Now, he would put me in situations that weren't safe. Not because he wanted to see me get hurt, but because it's life. You know, I go back to some of the different things that I've talked about. You know, I had one talking about, we want to leave the gross alone, and we just want to believe that life's not messy. No, he put me right in the middle of the mess. But it was so that way, I had a way of knowing how to get out of it. I'll be honest with you. My married life from around 25 years of age, 26, to probably mid-30s or better, man, some of the toughest life I've had to go through. Horrible situations, some of which was not even in my control, and was just beating us down. It was danger left and right. And I don't necessarily mean danger from an unsafe. I mean danger is in, how am I going to pay this bill? And how am I going to do this? And how am I going to provide for my family? And what is going on? Those things back at 12 years old was getting me ready for it. Men, do not look at danger as the obstacle in which you need to protect your kids from. Protect your kids. Shield them from some things. But at the same time, let them experience some of those things. Let them go into the fire. Let them come back out. I promise you, it makes a huge difference. Thank y'all for joining me tonight. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all to those that have told me they listen, that, hey, I like this one, I like that one. I've actually had multiple people. I had one this weekend told me that loved listening to what it did. Told me which one was his favorite episode. Y'all, I thank you. I really do. I really hope this gets to reach more people than just my little nucleus that's out there. So if you have a way that you can spread it to other friends that you think would like it, send it to them. I'm not doing this because I want to be known for the missing men. I'm doing it because I felt called that this needed to happen. Help me get it out there. I'll do my part to give y'all something to listen to, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank y'all. Good night.